Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Season 3, Episode 7, with your hosts, Joe Dillard Jr., Derek Alston, and Lamonte Thomas. This week's special guest, former Miami Hurricane and overseas basketball star, Adrienne Motley.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I'm your host, Joe D., coming back at you with Season 3, Episode 7, as we bring you Women in Sports with Adrienne Motley. Got to bring you my co-host for the first time, Mr. Derek Alston. What's going on, bro?
Man, what's going on, man? How you doing today, man?
Trying to get this done, man. You know, we got somebody all the way across the world we're trying to get. So, you know, it's all different times. So I appreciate your time too, man.
No problem, man. Pleasure to be here.
Holiday in Paradise. So this podcast is designed to spread knowledge, teach, and inform the listener and viewer about the positive advancement of Virginia athletes, born or raised, and definitely born and raised. As I said, today we've got Adrienne Motley, straight out of Woodside, straight out of Newport News, Boo Williams crew, took it to the U professionally now. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get you right into it as we bring you Adrienne Motley from Commonwealth Sports Talk. Right. Well, welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. We've got Adrienne Motley with us. How you doing there?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. We couldn't ask any more of you. I know you have a busy schedule. And of course, being in Spain, it's a different time. So we're going to go right into it. I'm not going to back off. You know, obviously, I want to start off at the very root of your career because I've known you since 8 years old. And is that when it clicked? I just want to know when it clicked. That's how I want to take you back. I want to go and know, when did it click and you know that basketball was your love? Like, how deep in the game were you?
Well, my dad, of course, was a referee. He still is. So I just be following him around, you know, all the time. People still tell me like I was always on his butt, like when he was reffing. So like probably when I figured out like, all right, maybe I'm all right with this is when I was playing with Ashley with the black, you know, I was so young.
With the Black Widows.
Like I was like 8 playing with like, man, 10, 12-year-olds. And I was like actually playing, you know, like, so at that point I kind of was like, all right, like maybe I can do this. And then of course, like I don't know. I think I started playing with my age group when I was like 16, 17, like, and I had to, you know, it was no higher age group. So I think like I never kind of like really grasped how good I was because I was always comparing myself to kids that were like 3-4 years older than me.
Facts.
So like I think kind of like when I got older, I was like started to realize like, all right, maybe you all right at this thing.
Awesome. Like that's something that a lot of times you don't realize how good you are, like you said, because of the grind with your head down. Oh, but no, she's good enough to play up. Like I even noticed that at Hampton Roads Academy, and it's just that 1 year seeing you shine, it was like she's gonna be special, and everybody knew it. So it was awesome to see how all that matured from playing up, and then 16, 17. I'm guessing what with Boo you started to recognize.
Yeah.
Take me through that. How was your time with Boo?
Man, so booze actually the very first time the first time and the last time in my career I ever like it was one tournament where I rode the bench. Like I didn't play. It was my very first tournament with Boo. And of course, like I was still younger. It was my first time playing like on Boo's team. And I was still younger though. I could have played on the younger team. And I rode the bench for the first time in my career, like ever. And I'm like, even in college, like I never, and then like
I know. Yeah.
and I was like this is whack. Like, like my dad was like, just trust it. Like, and I think like the next tournament or something, like I was starting and actually like played a lot. But like, man, that was such like an eye opener for me. I'm like, I'm riding the bench, like I'm not even seeing the floor, like, and I'm coming off like I think I was probably at Woodside or maybe HRA, leaving HRA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the girl, like, and then I come to Boo and I'm like, what? So, I mean, that was definitely like, the best of the best play with Boo. So I was like, just grateful to be on the team, but like that just kind of made my hunger like that much, like I was that much more hungry, like I was like, nah, like, I never want to feel like this ever again.
Took one game.
Yeah, listen, man, like took one game, and I was like, nah, I told my dad, like, nah, I can't feel like this anymore. So that just kind of took me to the next level with that. And after that, I never had a problem with that ever.
So would you say that was the most humbling thing in your career to elevate you to the next level?
Nah, I wouldn't. As a kid, yeah, but it's some things that as an adult, and I'm sure we'll get to that, but like some stuff as an adult that like really humbled me within the past 2 years. Injuries. Like I haven't had like that big of an injury, but like I got injured 2 years ago actually playing in Spain, and that was probably like that humbled me in the most craziest way I think I've ever in my life been humbled.
Yeah, because you really haven't been injured.
Nah, I
told you I followed it.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know going to my sophomore to my junior year, I actually had to get my meniscus like scoped. Like people don't know, man. I was playing the NCAA tournament. I had to get shots, like cortisone shots, man. Like I was getting shots in my butt, like for just to play 40 minutes, man. I was getting shots, and like I was just that competitive and still am. Like I didn't want to stop playing. I knew something was wrong with my knee, but like I was like, nah, like we made the NCAA tournament. I think like we were in Iowa. I had like 30 against Washington. I'm like, man, like I'm not, and I was in so much pain, but I kept playing. Then that summer I got surgery, and I was back running in like a week. I was like, nah, like I got to get right. So that's the only time, knock on wood, that I've ever undergone like real
surgery.
Like,
Yeah, that's crazy though. I mean, like that's why I said I followed that whole run and did not have injuries. Also, some stats like to never be a whole year without double figures in points. Yeah. And at Commonwealth Sports, we throw it out. We throw it out. All freshman team, ACC, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So we like to give our credit to it. But take me back to the Woodside way. Take me back to how y'all had 3 to 5 girls, young ladies, all go to play ball college. Like, was there a bond there that made it better to play with that group than it was any other day? Like, how did that feel?
Man, like, so of course, like from HRA, like it's a different type of scenery. But I loved HRA. I was grateful for the time. I met a lot of great people, but like I always wanted to go to Woodside. My sister went to Woodside, graduated from Woodside. Like Woodside was in my blood, and my parents were just like, no, like. And then finally, 9th grade, they let me loose after. And I went to 10th grade. I went to Woodside, man, and like, like I knew Ashley, I knew Ayana, I knew Ice, I knew Alicia, I knew Alexi. Like I knew those were my sisters. So it was like a no-brainer getting there and going and. Seeing them every day, and it was fun, man. Like we had the time of our lives, and people hated us, but like we were having fun. Like people hated playing they were hating bad, man. And I know it. Like Coach Joe knows it.
Yes.
Like they hated us, man. But we were just.
It was the biggest recruitment piece that everybody saw since sliced bread, like since Ronald Curry. Like it's
crazy.
It's one of them things where they was like, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They grew up playing together. Why not? So, at the time matured and you put 1,000 at Hampton Rhodes Academy in 2 years, mind you, as an 8th and 9th grader. Why not move on and get another 1,000 at a higher level, Division 6 type program? So I completely understood it, and plus you got that deep root into it. So
Yeah, and like those are like I said, man, people like we literally have fun. Like, and that was just that. Coach Talon never yelled at us. He never like disciplined. Like, we were just sisters coming together playing basketball, but we had our heads on straight. We came from great family, you know, like it was just fun. And I always say like that. I'll never regret going to Westside. Like, that was the best 3 years. I wish I would have done 4 with them. And you already know history shows like we won a lot of games, and there's a lot of winners up there. Obviously, we couldn't have won states. That's always bittersweet, but like at the end of the day, like
you left your mark.
Yeah, like and I did it with people that I still to this day like hang out with, go eat, you know what I'm saying? Go eat with, birthday parties, you know, all that, like still hang out with them to this day. And I don't know of anybody that can really say the same thing, you know? So.
What time is it there?
It's 9:26.
What time is it on your watch?
9:26.
Oh, you didn't want to show me the tattoo. That's fine.
Oh, the 757.
That's fine. See, and I had to run right into that. See, deep rooted. You deep rooted. So no matter where you go,
that's why I got it
back home. You know, you always look at it. So take me first year overseas. I mean, you did win a chip there. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
So how was that experience?
That was an experience. I mean, overseas period is an experience, but like I actually kind of looked up. It was a great opportunity with Sweden. Of course, like we won a championship, and I got to actually play with my teammate that I had been there for 4 years with, Jessica Thomas. So that made the transition easy. We were both rookies. We were both figuring out how to do this thing, and we were already comfortable with each other. So it's somebody that I could always confide in, like after a long day, and like it's just somebody that was always there. And a lot of rookies don't have that, which makes them more homesick, you know, like it makes them miss home more. But that kind of like gave me a piece of home a little bit. You know, being I played at Miami and Virginia, I could always kind of see my family. Just being in the States, period. No matter where you are in the States, you still kind of have like, you know, your Target,
close.
Your Walmarts, like. Overseas, it's none of that. So
nothing
like
familiar.
Listen.
Land and water is what you could start with, and it ends. Like that's the similarities. That's it.
It's so different. Like, man, like Sundays nothing open.
So what was hard for you to adapt to or playing overseas? Like the culture, the basketball, like what was
you
was
know
hard
it won
for
the
you?
basketball. You know it won the basketball. Come on, man.
Nah, man, it was like, and I'm still adapting. And this is my fourth season. I'm still adapting because every country is different. But like Sweden, I was coming from Miami, you know, 70 degrees any time of the year. And then in Sweden, I was so far up north, man, it was like so much snow. I had never seen that much. Even in VA, y'all know it don't snow like that much.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It was so much snow, like into like it got dark at like 2, like pitch dark at 2. So like mentally, you know, like not seeing the sun mentally, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was times you just had to like be like I'm gonna do this how long? Like but I mean, it was a great experience, man. Like, you know, I'm still getting paid to do what I love to do and just, you know, travel the world for free. But like, man, it's definitely an experience. Just the food's different. Your teammates like don't really speak English. I like I said, I looked up my first year. My coach was actually from America. But he just had lived in Sweden, so he spoke English really well. But like my coach now, she doesn't speak any English, and there's actually a translator for me.
I had asked Doobie Maxwell because he's overseas, and Mouse from Tab. I had asked both of them about the transition, and for me, I only have one vision. I have the Monica vision from Love and Basketball. Is it that dominant of you of an American player to be like, let's make sure that we involve, and I'm not trying to throw it out there, but I mean, you know, involve the star, or how's the feeling? How does the coach you, knowing that he has limited ways to affect you or talk if he doesn't correlate that language barrier?
Yeah, it's tough. It gets frustrating. Like actually today in practice, like I was like frustrated because I'm like asking like a certain thing, And then like it was not supposed to be done that way, but I like specifically asked them. And it was just like that language barrier is just so tough. Like just talking on a daily basis. Like I tell my friends all the time, like you have to like complete people's sentences. You have to figure out. It's not like how we talking. Like I haven't talked like this like in a long time. Like just talking.
Right.
You have to like understand what they're saying. Sometimes you have to fill in what they're saying, and then like even my translator doesn't speak that good of English, and like it's just like it's tough. Like mentally, it can be like it's some days I just like am so drained. You just be like just going through the motions sometimes. But I feel like everybody kind of goes through that at some point. Like it's just like you come home and like y'all just really getting y'all day kind of started, and I've already been through a full day. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that.
Right.
It's kind of tough. So, but I mean,
it gotta make playing basketball harder too, because I mean you got your translator in the huddle, but then they're not with you on the court.
Right. Yeah. So running plays and stuff, like I have to make sure like they have plays in Spanish. So like I have to make sure like yesterday I asked, is it a B or V? Like how am I pronouncing this? So like there's no confusion. And then like just like you said, it's like it is tough playing on the court, but like at the end of the day, like I'm about to put the ball in the basket, so y'all can figure it out.
There it is.
Type of way, I'm gonna put the ball in the basket. So
there it is. I saw a description that had of you as an overseas athlete, and it said a combo guard can score the ball in high volumes with a high percentage and can assist, steal, and rebound. I stopped and said, well, damn, what don't she do? Because that's almost every stat line. I said, so I guess I'm going to get on here and be like, yo, boo, you need to get your blocks up. Because, I mean, you cover it everything, and that's great. I mean, I love your IQ is what we're going into right there. Like, your IQ of basketball just allows you to understand how to play at advantage is what I'm guessing, right? So does that get you by over there too? I mean, that IQ has to stand out, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your IQ just stands out wherever. It'll be times where like I feel like my IQ is like a little bit up, and theirs is kind of like just because you play with some younger kids here too, and that's just everywhere in overseas. Like there's gonna be young kids just to fill those roster spots, and because everybody can't, every team can't afford to pay
a full roster.
Yeah, like a full roster. So you have to kind of fill in, and then with the younger kids, kind of like teaching them like
what age can they come in?
16. They usually come like 16, 17.
So
like,
is that how, in translating over, how the guys get notoriety from 16 to 18? They play with adults and then they're getting thrown out and saying they're already adult ready.
Yeah, that's how Luka. I think Luka like did
that.
It. Yeah, he did. That's how they do it. It's not like some actually girls will do it and not go like to WNBA, or they will. I know a few overseas girls that just don't go to college and go, but like yeah, that's how they do it. They
get that early exposure.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not getting paid, so the NCAA can't mess with you. So it's just like, but you still have to kind of like teach them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I can imagine.
Get all your players set up, like as a point guard, like get all your players set up, and do this. So I like just try to teach them. At this point, like you can't really yell at them because they just trying to get better. And I couldn't imagine like an older girl like just yelling at me all the time. Like you want to learn from them, like. Hey, she's getting paid to play here. Like, I'm gonna listen to her. So I kind of just take that route with them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an easy transition for you too, with just teaching mechanism in general, just keeping your mind involved with the game. I want to give another shout out, and Derek, you can come behind me with a question if you got one. But all ACC first team, sophomore and junior year. I mean, I wonder what happened senior year, but the numbers are still there. So I really know what happened, but I'm not going to go into it. Oh, all right. No. I'm going to defend you. So when they become seniors, they either give you two titles. You're either on the Naismith Player of the Year list or the Player of the Year list of whatever, in that or whatever region they give that award out to, which you were on multiple ones, as I saw, or they deem you not ready for the NBA, WNBA. And so you kind of slide off and they let the younger ones take your spot, like a sophomore or a junior. So technically as a sophomore, when you got first team, that is a lot harder than it was for any other year, because usually it goes to the upper class. Right. So take me through that. Like, how did that get second team? But I know your numbers were still there. I know you felt slighted, but was there anything that kind of indicated change?
Uh, that was just a rough year. A lot for me. I mean, I'm gonna keep it PG, not PG, but I'm not gonna say everything. But it was a tough year.
Okay.
I wasn't getting as many touches as I had initially got. Maybe that's also me not being as aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I also lost my grandfather in January of that year, so that kind of like mentally like first kind of real death in my life. And he was such a big supporter like with me. That mentally and just you like senior year is really like freshman year you're not really worried. You're worried about playing time. Sophomore and junior year are the times to like just kind of like do you know what I'm saying? Senior year you're worried about graduation. My
Got a
case
lot on
was
your
about
mind.
getting drafted, and then on top of that, I told you about my grandfather. Like it was just so much, and I don't think people really realize how big senior year is for you. Because I actually slid in the draft. Like I should have got drafted earlier, but senior
Facts.
year happened. Yeah, senior year happened, and I mean, at the end of the day, I got that opportunity to see the league, and it wasn't what I wanted. So
With the 32nd pick from the Indiana Fever.
it wasn't what I wanted, and to this day, like I commend anybody that want, but that's just not something I can see myself like really wanting to do. So.
Talk
So
to me.
what
Go ahead.
what do you think is the biggest reason why most females choose to play overseas rather than the WNBA, and not just for money wise, but like what other factors play into females wanting to be more overseas than WNBA?
Well, money. I think money is the number one. I mean,
Yeah, that's the obvious.
that's the obvious. But other than that, I mean, like traveling the world, you get treated a lot better over here than in the States. Even like the Brianna Stewart, it's a team over here, y'all. It's Brianna Stewart. It is Brittany Griner. It's these 2-point guard Allie Quigley and Vandersloot, and it's also JJ Jonquel Jones. That's all one team in Russia. Like you can imagine, like how first off how much they're getting paid, and like they treat them like royalty over here. You know what I'm saying? Like you get like WNBA is so like watered down, and like I said, like some people dream. I know some people that still like haven't touched the WNBA want to, like cool, but like it's so watered down, and then like how they, you barely see WNBA games on TV. Like I was just watching TV the other day, and it was a Spanish game. Like you just don't see that, you know what I'm saying? And then like I just think they take basketball a lot more serious for women's basketball.
They do.
So y'all are televised a lot.
Yeah. Every one of our games is televised.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's better for women basketball.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
It is.
And I like your move. Anytime you can see women in their prime take a year off and go play overseas and say, "Oh well, I'll come back," it's a sign that there ain't enough money in the U.S. being put into women's basketball like it should be. But at the end of the day, we're trying to get women in sports in general to get their acknowledgement. So, that journey is a whole uphill battle that women consistently face. So, basketball, in my opinion, and let me just be honey. The NBA, I'm a great advocate because I compare it to MLB and NFL. However, you're supporting a women's basketball league that you're holding for ransom. You should be flourishing it. It should be growing. You shouldn't be worried about 2 more teams, whether Seattle or whatever. You should be worrying about how to expand women's basketball, because at the end of the day, the same numbers on both rosters, the same numbers on both teams in high school and all the way up. So like, what's the difference? So, I've been really doing this women in sports push lately, and it ain't a month thing.
That. Listen, I appreciate, because everybody, especially like African American Black dudes, are not, you know what I'm saying? And we're so big in these sports that's ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many Black women that are tennis, gymnastics, not even basketball, man, like soccer, and like I feel like seeing like when LeBron and those guys advocate for us, like that means so much more, you know what I'm saying? So like I appreciate, a lot of guys don't, even from home, a lot of guys don't advocate for women's sports like you guys do,
Hey, Derek, would you say the top 3 teams for the USA would be the men's and women's basketball team and the women's soccer team? That would be the top 3 teams for the USA. Am I right?
Yeah. I would agree with that one.
I mean, I'm just maybe the gymnastics team, but like, well, we're talking about these team groups going as professional athletes. That's your top 3. And you know, those 2 of those 3 are getting paid at the very bottom.
Listen, like the soccer is like the most great, like
They're
the
dope.
way that they were telling me they were being, you'd be like, what?
They're dope. Like the world, that what you just described is probably like times 10 to play overseas in soccer, because soccer is supposedly the world's #1 sport because everybody cultivated to it first. But overseas, it's different. You know what I'm saying? They got leagues on top of leagues on top of leagues on top of leagues. And we claim to be the best basketball league in the world, but we just got a league.
Yeah, that's it. But we got, honestly, compared to these, even like seeing like when these teams go for national breaks, it's no like, man, the USA is so far apart from them. It's ridiculous. Like you'd be like, this is y'all national team. You can tell me these are the best 12 players in y'all country. These wouldn't even be the top 50 in our country. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it sounds like they put the roster together similar to how you described that one, where they prayed on out of the whole country to have 4 good players, and then they scrapped together the rest to try to make a national team, and that ain't gonna work on no national stage. You know what I'm saying?
US got too many good basketball players for that. Like, it's
those
maybe the
ladies do.
men's is a little different, but women's, USA still is
It's a big gap.
So are the players that come in that's from the WNBA that play in these other countries, are they able to have dual citizenship to play with those other countries?
That's actually a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that is a really, actually, like, I'm trying to work to get my dual citizenship, because you can only have like a certain amount of Americans on the team typically. I know Israel, I think, is different. They can, like, they're in a different league as far as like what they do in Israel, but like a certain Americans, they can only afford a certain amount of Americans. Like, because we're not getting paid, like we're getting paid, so like they can only afford like 2, maybe 3 Americans. But other than that, like some girls, like I know some WNBA players do have dual citizenship, which I don't understand. Like, one girl, I forgot her name. She has like a Serbian. Is like, you don't know anybody from, like, you're not from Serbia, but like they do it sometimes. But I was born in the Netherlands, so I'm like trying to get that dual citizenship, because that is a lot more money. Because you can get on better teams that say they are 2 Americans. I can get on another team as like a Dutch player. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is key right there. Dual citizenship gets you 2 pays, period.
For sure.
I read through that. And so, that's dope. I was wondering how that whole squad was in Russia, because I mean, I get it now, how they work the system. I mean, listen, if it's competitive enough, they'll pay the price.
And they're probably not the only team doing it either.
Oh no, it's a couple teams in Israel that are stacked with WNBA teams. Like they paying well in Israel. They of course Russia to afford those type of players, and that many of them. But like they do it just because like EuroLeague and Euro Cup is so big over here. They try their best to see, get their best players. But like that team is low. I actually watched them one time. I'm like, this is like unfair. Like this is ridiculous. Nobody's beating them.
And they don't care. They collecting that check, yo.
Yeah, they don't. I said, they get treated crazy. They probably have a penthouse in Russia the way they're living.
So how's the season going like right now? How long is the season?
So of course, like when we were talking, I was in Greece. COVID kind of ended that season. So then I went home for a little while. I actually went to Poland, then I went home for a little while. And then I came back out to Spain. So we play again we actually leave tomorrow for a 9-hour bus trip. And then we play on Sunday. We're like 3rd, I want to say, in the league right now. So I actually already played on this team before.
Okay.
I got hurt. I hurt my knee 2 years ago, and I went back home to like get better. So then we have playoffs. But I think we should actually win it. I think, of course, I'm gonna say we're gonna win it.
Yeah.
But there is a team that's undefeated. Yeah. There's a team that's undefeated that I haven't played yet. So I'm itching to
See what it's all about.
See what that bump is like.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll be in a couple of weeks here, but we probably got like in the March 31st is the end of the regular season, so we got a little time.
Good.
So what type of COVID protocols do y'all have out there?
Man, we get tested every week, man. I hate it. It's good though, but like say there's one positive test on the team, then everybody quarantines for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody quarantines for 10 days. So actually, when I first got here, they were in the middle of quarantine. I had to stay at an Airbnb, like away from the team, because they were in quarantine when I got here, which was kind of like whack. But like I got to kind of work out on my own, and on the gyms, the weightlifting gym, like actual gyms, like the Y and One Life and stuff here are like closed. They've been closed for like 2-3 weeks. So just trying to, weights is like so ingrained. It's ingrained in you. So I'm like itching right now to kind of they don't lift weights here. So it's weird. So I'm like itching to get back. Hopefully next week it'll be open. But as far as COVID, like we wear a mask. We don't have to wear a mask during practice, but we do get weekly tests. And like I said, like we're supposed to have a game we were supposed to have 2 games last Saturday, but that it got canceled because one of the girls got COVID.
Yeah, that's how it's been, man. It's been really, really etch a sketch. So I'm just happy you were in a safe position, safe place, and doing the thing you love, because that's what matters most. A lot of people dealing with mental health and stuff during these times. So you definitely want to take things in perspective and appreciate that grind instead of looking at it as a burden. So,
for sure.
Yeah, we had checked the time. I didn't know if it was 6 hours, 7-hour difference, or 5-hour difference. I was like, man, I got to switch this up, but I'm gonna make sure I'm ready for this one. So
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
We appreciate you at Commonwealth Sports Talk. Anything you want to say? Shout outs, fam,
Man, I appreciate y'all, man, just having me on here. It means a lot. When you're in college, everybody wants a piece of you, but after when you get pro for a couple years, they kind of forget about you. But I mean, you've always supported me. Your family supported me. Even big bro over here, you always texting me, checking up on me, even when I'm home. So I just appreciate the love and support always from afar, just to know that, it's people still checking in on you and still wishing you well, because people still wishing that I stopped playing or I can't play anymore. So those people that still want me to play and still root me on, I appreciate y'all, man.
Absolutely. Yeah,
always.
Your big bro, I had the schedule for the show and it was somebody else, and then he said, yeah, that's a little sis right there. I said, man, that ain't little sis, yo. I said, if it's little sis, then I'm gonna slide you in on the show. Then we gotta do this.
For sure.
Yeah,
so you just threw it out there now, so we good. I had to make sure.
Yeah, man. I always try to check up on him, man.
There it is. Well, definitely appreciate your time. This is Commonwealth Sports Talk with the great Adrienne Motley, the GOAT 757 Woodside, the U bringing it to you, professional. Keep doing what you do, boo boo.
I appreciate y'all.
All right, take it easy, yo.
All right.
Be safe.
All right, and welcome to Roundtable Talk. As we just had Adrienne Motley on. Great time with her, a legend, 757 legend. And it was great to have her time, as she's busy out in Spain. So, we had to put that together. Got Derek with me. I got LT with me. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, man?
Another day in paradise, man. Just finishing out this episode with Motley as we talk women in sports, of course, obviously. But let's talk overseas, man. Let's talk about how overseas ball is totally different from what we're producing, as we call ourselves the #1 men's and women country with basketball. Yet our women find themselves frequently going, and some choosing to go overseas to play instead of playing in the WNBA or any other opportunities that extend from basketball, college basketball. So, I just, somebody talk to me first. I'll go with Derek. Derek, talk to me about what advantages is it for women to go overseas? Like, why is everything going in that manner?
From talking to Adrienne, she made it seem like you get more love shown to you when you go overseas. Like, I mean, the WNBA, it does have a nice bit of talent now and it has grown to be a successful market, but they don't advertise it enough. You don't know what time games come on. They don't run enough commercials to let you know who's playing and who not playing. So I think that's really big, especially with wanting to be recognized. Like, NBA get recognized, so the women want to feel recognized too. Like, you don't hear about their All-Star weekend or things of that nature. But when you go overseas, according to her, which is a very reliable source, she says that, kind of treated a little bit more with royalty and have a little bit more love for them and for what they bring to the actual sport. So I think that's very important as far as overseas in WNBA, because, I mean, you want to feel like you love when you're playing the game that you actually love, because it's entertainment for the fans.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, it's the rock star approach where is a real life example with Motley, and then it goes back almost 20 something years where you see Love and Basketball, and Monica goes overseas, and you see how those girls get treated. You know, Monica's homesick, but the homegirl that played ball with her at USC and was the point guard, she's like, hey, I'm a rock star out here. I'm living it up. And that's 20 years ago. And so that narrative has not changed from a movie perception 20 years ago to a real life example right in front of us. So, Lamont, what else could it be? I mean, is there anything else that's I mean, you've got some that do both. You got some that stay over there probably even after offered.
Yeah, I think it's, we talked before about the lack of grassroots we have a lot of times with women's basketball here. And so I think that may even carry over into the effect of international play, right? When you talk about the levels of play, when you talk about the hype around it, it's a grit, it's a grind over there. Not to say that it's not over here, but it's even more so over there because there's so many different leagues. There's different, a demand for the sport.
You took the word right out of my mouth right there. Demand.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny how it intertwines, and you can even see over here, you can see the sprinkles of the imprint of the international game. I mean, we cover the A10 with Legacy Maker Sports. I could tell you, I was in Philly doing the A10 women's championship, the A10 women's tournament, and we had young women on different teams that played together. Remember playing each other when they were 16 overseas, right? And they're sitting here playing in the A10 women's tournament. So how crazy is that? Like, it lets you know the international imprint is everywhere.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because the pros, as Adrienne said, they fill rosters. And so the pros over there, they could start at 16. You could be a pro at 16. This is an example of Luka. This is an example of all of the superstars that come from international play. They had an opportunity to start at 16 if that was their goal, if that was what they were pushing, if they were seen to be the talent that obviously they became. So how do they make more though? Like, let's talk about that. Like, how is it possible for multiple countries to have an opportunity to say they provide a better salary or opportunity for a woman to play ball in their country than in the United States? Lamont, what's up with that? Why is the money, like, what's up with the money issue?
Maybe talking marketing again, right? Like,
Marketing.
just like Derek mentioned before, it doesn't seem to hit the prime time channels over here. It doesn't seem to be hitting the airwaves, hitting the tube like the men's game does, and it's competing, unfortunately, with not only men's basketball, but other sports in general. Sometimes the women draw on individual sports is bigger than it is on a team sport. You look at tennis, look at the love that just got, you know. Um, you look at other sports. Sometimes soccer will even get a bigger draw than women's basketball here. I don't know what it is, but the love for it is just not as real.
think their timing's off, when it comes to the NBA thinking it's a comfortable thing to have their season right after ours when you've just dealt with a 6 to 8 months of basketball and it had its climax, and then you're going to ask them to come right after that. It should have been the other way around. It should have been maybe their season started and see, obviously they didn't want to mess with football, but if it's the NBA thinking NBA, maybe they should have started in June, July, and did it all the way right into the preseason of the NBA, and then let the NBA run with it, because it's like a pre before the real, and it's still all the same market money. And that's why you put more money into it that way. Now, when you have the NBA finals, you put everything in, and then you start and ramp their season up. It's kind of like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. And that's the approach I know they feel. And that's jacked up, regardless how you shake that. So my thought, well, Derek, go ahead into yours. How do you think they're making more money? You got one other than marketing? Because both of y'all said marketing.
Well, yeah, marketing is definitely a big picture. But I also think the value of the dollar is different as far as countrywide. So you got to think these teams only have a couple Americans. So if they're bringing these Americans over here, these teams are probably funding their housing, their transportation, their food. So a lot of things that they may have to spend money on if they're just living in the United States in the WNBA, they don't have to. So that's more opportunity to save more money. And with them being able to pay us more and we're able to save more, then the value of the dollar kind of pushes it over the WNBA, because you're not really making six figures in the WNBA, only certain players. So, I mean, I think the teams is covering their pool. Then, I mean, you have to think other things. It might not be taxes. You might have to pay. You might have to pay hazard pay. So it's different things that can contribute to bringing in more money than just the marketing side of it. But I think those are some of the things to play factors. And I think one other thing that we talked about with Adrienne was the dual citizenship.
Yep.
That plays a factor. That plays a big factor, because I mean, I could pay certain players from different countries a certain value. So, I mean, marketing is definitely the biggest factor, but I think there's some other key factors within those decisions as far as women playing overseas.
I got a bad vibe with the mob. I always am somehow following it to some degree, whether if it's movie, whether if it's correlation or whatnot. But just think about it. This is the world we're talking about. We're talking about a couple of countries that are not a democracy. They're run and they're a dictatorship. And so when you have money in their upper area and they deem that sport important, that's when the value gets shot up. They don't care about marketing. Yeah, the value of the dollar might help with the American person going over there. But let's talk about how that I hate to say it, but everybody's seen the Pablo Escobar, some version of it. And one thing they did is all of those kingpins owned a soccer country, or not team or country, but a team. They owned a soccer team. And so when you own a soccer team, and pardon me for bringing this in the loop, but you're a drug kingpin, what are you going to pay that star person? So just different levels to it is all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you, and dual citizenship allows you to do that too. You can go to one country and play for an 8-game season and not have to live there no more than the 8 games you played, and then go right back to another country and play and get more money. So I couldn't hit it any better. The rock star approach, you know what I'm saying? The women's grassroots in Virginia, or not in Virginia, but in the United States, not holding the women here. And what you mean by that is having multiple ways for them to make this dollar. You know, that's an NBA and a WNBA problem. Why is there only one professional platform for the number one country in the world with basketball? Needs to have more than one. Just that's my opinion. So those are very important. Marketing and the value of a dollar. Why not invest into the NBA then? You know what I'm saying? Why not the NBA invest into the WNBA? What is holding them back from doing that? D, what's holding them back from doing that? The NBA got plenty of ways to promote. Why they can't promote the WNBA for at least a better platform?
That's a very good question. I think NBA players do but I don't think the
Mhm.
consistency of it is. Like
owners
it's
don't.
like it's yeah. I mean, you got the players, but the players not paying themselves. So unless
Mhm.
the players don't be able to take control of the WNBA, I mean, it's kind of hard. So yeah, you do need a little bit more owners pushing it, and then you also need WNBA owners to be pushing their own market too. I mean, it's supply and demand. So if you're gonna give us the supply of the WNBA, then you gotta also demand our attention. That way you can make the most revenue.
Awesome. I like that one. I'm writing notes so bad and fast. It's crazy. LT, what about you, man? Like, what can the NBA do, man? I'll throw another angle with you where, they promote maybe in the NBA finals more, I don't know, or something, because obviously there's so many avenues they can pitch with this. What can the NBA do?
I think it's going to start, honestly, probably could start on another level, right? Like if you talk about the reason why the NBA is so big and the stars get so big is because they start following them early, right? Like, what if we do that in women's basketball? I mean, you see now with the McDonald's All Americans and the big the Nike tournaments and stuff in high school. You know what I mean? Like, if you could start that buzz going around on the women's level, and it's getting there. I mean, I would say that it is there
Shout
because
out to Boo Crew. He's been doing it for a while with the ladies. I
wow,
just had to say it. I
right,
mean, a wow.
and
Lakeisha Fret, wow.
especially where basketball is big, right? Like the Boo Williams of the world, like DC. That's another spot where a lot of people know when
Mm-hmm.
those young women are coming up and they're seniors and they're going into their freshman year of college, they got buzz.
Mm-hmm.
But if we could do that on a national level, I feel like they're going to be more household names, right? Come college, so then you got that, or even if they go overseas or whatever, if they come back, by the time they get into the WNBA, they're already carrying, a market of their own, and I feel like on that level, that may be a good way to at least get traffic, not just to the game but to their names,
Mm-hmm.
and that way, that can make it easier to promote and be a no-brainer, right? And now, not only are they benefiting off traffic to the game itself, but benefiting off of their names, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what the guys do.
Yep. And I think that quarterback to right what I was about to say, because D made a great point. NBA players taking ownership of the WNBA. Just think of that. Just think of that. If
That's
they
what
take
you're
ownership and because obviously they're going to have to collaborate with these owners, because those owners in the WNBA ain't broke jokes either. They at least got some money, so you just don't walk in and through them. However, with the way they've been moving as a union for the NBA, it should be to the point where they expand, which they haven't, by the way. That's why they can't help the WNBA, but I'm just hypothetically speaking. But they could have ownership in promoting, having ties, making money, and doing everything to endorse the women's game. Now they're doing it on an individual platform, and it's come with some, adverse situations in the country. And thank God that they were able to speak up, because this platform is what that's for. But the WNBA and the owners need to promote all the way down, just like you were saying, LT, where these grassroots girls got to get just as much buzz as the boys. And so Title IX's got to push just a little more. Every time you get a win, that's great, but you got to understand how far you're behind in the battle to know when to fight for the next journey. And so Title IX's kind of outdated now, and it's just due, but it's outdated now, and there needs to be something else to ramp that up, because the opportunities are there for the young ladies to thrive in this country with that basketball. So why not? We do pitch women in sports all the time. So, here at Commonwealth Sports Talk, we love to give our credit to the young women that are putting in that time and grinding just like we do. It's almost like one of the good boy club feelings. Everybody's part of a good boy club somehow, some way, or some shape. So you part of the good boy club, being an athlete, and that's called respect. So that's what the women want. They want that respect. They want to be called an athlete and not just women's sports. So I definitely love to promote, push, and advertise that as much as possible. So last thoughts, we'll go into it. Lamont, you got anything to break us down with, man? Give me your last thoughts on maybe overseas women in sports or anything else that you may have for us. A good gym.
Yeah, man. I just want all the women athletes to know that we do see you, and we're doing our due diligence to give you the platform you deserve. For sure. Shout out to that. What's that Princess Anne women's program straight championship. They getting live with it over there. So shout out to them.
8 straight.
That's crazy.
8 straight.
Dynasty.
D, don't act like you ain't up. I ain't got to walk you in all the time. We could joke sometimes.
Yeah, man. I just want to shout out my man Doja over there, Princess Anne, 8 straight. He definitely doing this thing, man. He producing great pros and college athletes. Liz doing a thing in WNBA. Zaria doing a thing at Mississippi State. He just doing this thing. Shout out some of the boot crew, Megan Walker, Diamond Johnson killing at Rutgers.
Yes.
You got Ashley Owusu killing at Maryland, Shakira Austin at Ole Miss, man. Shout out to boot crew.
Yes.
No doubt. I love that. That's hometown, man. That's hometown.
Oh, yeah.
I could talk about hometown every day, all day, but I'm just decided to make the platform Virginia. So, we try to give all of Virginia love, but everybody in Virginia knows the Boo Crew. Now, that's a fact. So, shout out to the Boo Williams ladies and all the work they're putting in. There's a lot of other groups putting in work as well. So, we'd love to get that platform for you to show and promote. So just shoot it out to us with Commonwealth Sports Talk any way you possibly can to promote women in sports. We definitely appreciate it. This is once again Commonwealth Sports Talk, bringing you roundtable talk with Derek and LT. Y'all stay tuned in as we continue to bring you hits, and more hits. Brian Stiff is our guest next week. No introduction necessary.
Love.
All right, man.
There it is.